Imagine walking into your local grocery store tomorrow and seeing that the price of a dozen eggs has suddenly doubled. You'd probably groan, stare at the price tag for a few seconds, and then put them in your cart anyway. You need breakfast. You need to bake. You complain, but you still buy them. Now, imagine walking down the next aisle and seeing that a 12-pack of Mountain Dew has also doubled in price. Your reaction changes completely. You don't hesitate. You leave it on the shelf, grab a case of Sprite or store-brand soda instead, and walk away without a second thought. That difference between helpless acceptance in the dairy aisle and instant abandonment in the soda aisle is something economists can track. It's a highly specific metric that dictates how every product in the world is sold to you. The formal economic term for this behavior is the price elasticity of demand. It measures exactly how sensitive your desire for a product is to a change in its price tag. For a business, calculating this sensitivity determines their survival. If they misjudge how you'll react to a price hike, they could bankrupt themselves practically overnight. Figuring out where a product sits on the scale of human flexibility is the single most important survival skill for anyone deciding what to charge you at the register. This data table shows estimates from various economic studies, mapping out exactly how flexible we are when buying everyday items. The numbers you see on the right span from a rigid 0.1 all the way up to 4.4. Look at the extreme left of this spectrum, near 0. This is the inelastic end. Eggs sit at 0.1 and healthcare at 0.2. If graphed, the demand line drops almost straight down, looking like a rigid letter I for inelastic. Moving right, flexibility increases. Rice and housing sit in the middle. Things get highly elastic on the far right. Dining out hits 2.3, Cheerios reach 3.7, and Mountain Dew maxes out at 4.4. The math perfectly reflects reality. When you're lying in a hospital bed in an emergency, you aren't going to pull out your phone and comparison shop for a cheaper doctor. You pay whatever it costs because you have no other choice. Contrast that with the cereal aisle. If General Mills decides to make Cheerios 50% more expensive, you can easily reach a few inches to the left and buy Honey Nut Scooters or plain oatmeal instead. An abundance of immediate substitutes makes a product highly elastic. Economists are quick to point out a caveat here. These exact numbers are not universal laws of physics. They are statistical estimates based on specific economic assumptions from market data. Furthermore, a product's elasticity is not a fixed permanent number. The flexibility actually changes depending on where you look along its demand curve. If a product is already incredibly expensive, a tiny price increase might suddenly trigger a huge elastic reaction. But despite those statistical caveats, this spectrum from 0.1 to 4.4 successfully translates unpredictable human desires into a firm, quantifiable tool for sellers. Once a seller knows exactly how flexible you are, they use that metric to maximize the ultimate goal of their calculated. You take the price of the good on the vertical axis and multiply it by the quantity sold on the horizontal axis. Price times quantity. Visually, a business's entire income is represented by the physical area inside this rectangle. Their only goal is to figure out how to make this shape as large as possible. If they are selling an inelastic necessity like eggs, their strategy is straightforward. They can crank up the price, and because you have to eat, the quantity sold barely drops. The resulting revenue rectangle becomes taller and noticeably larger overall. But if they try that same strategy with an elastic good like Mountain Dew, it backfires. Because demand is flat, a higher price causes sales volume to crash. The quantity shrinks so aggressively that it destroys the area of the revenue rectangle. To actually grow their total revenue, companies selling highly elastic goods face a counterintuitive reality. They often have to lower their prices to capture a massive volume of buyers. When you walk through a store, nothing is priced by accident. Every number on the shelf is the result of a calculated economic dance between our absolute necessities and our complete willingness to walk away.